Greetings, fanboys. I'm Jared.
And this is Brennan.
And today we have our very first Power Rangers video review for your enjoyment.
Today we have the Super Samurai Light Zord and Super Mega Gold Ranger.
Mega Super Ultra whacked out Gold Ranger right here.
Crazy man, gold dude. If you've been collecting Power Rangers Samurai, no doubt you are aware of the Zord vehicles, or the $15 price point secondary Zords. Now this price point previously belonged to, completely invented products. Ban-Dai of America would just come up with wacky vehicles or new motorcycles or something, but now they're really they're exploiting their price points appropriately, and they're delivering the show-accurate secondary Zords. It's a really great move on their part.
Of course, this is all part of Bandai's strategy to deliver a more streamlined Power Rangers toy line, which we've seen with the Power Rangers Samurai line.
Now, I've always been a really big fan of these types of Zords, going back to, say, the Warrior Wheel and Power Rangers Zeo. Just a weird little offshoot, non-Megazord kind of, pops up in a couple episode Zords, and this is the most interesting one that we've gotten in a very long time. And in Japan, I think he's called the Lantern Zord. Is that right?
Something like that.
Okay, and here he's the Light Zord, so it's a pretty appropriate Americanization, and he's just, it's surprising that he's as Japanese specific as he is. It's a little odd to see a product like this on an American shelf. Just walking down the toy aisle at Walmart. So it's a welcome addition.
Brandon, one of the other things that many fans know about already are the pack-in figures that you get with the Power Rangers Samurai packs. And the bad thing about these figures is that they're not very articulated. As a matter of fact, most of them are just pre-posed, and there's usually about 2 points of articulation.
Yeah, 2 if you're lucky.
Usually one of the wrists turn, and the head turns always. So that's it. So what has Bandai done to give us a little bit more bang for a buck? Well, starting with the re-releases of the initial wave, they started giving us unmasked versions of the figures. And of course we'll get into that with a little bit more detail, but the long and short of it is that they have pretty good actor likenesses. And it comes with a helmet, and just stick it on. So
without any more waiting, let's get a closer look at the Light Zord.
Alrighty guys, and now it's time for our closer look at Antonio!
And the Light Zord.
So, where do we start? I guess we'll go ahead and do the minifigure since it's a little bit simpler to review. As we can see on the minifigure, there is 2 points of articulation. That's right, folks. Don't get overwhelmed or anything. So, why doesn't this hand spin? That's interesting. As we can see, you think it's going to spin, but if we pop it off here, there's this strangely shaped peg and a strangely shaped hole here that keeps it locked into the same place. Why you wouldn't just make it a ball that could just rotate around, I really have no idea.
It begs the question. It seems like it would take more work to do this.
I know.
Than to just make it a simple cut of articulation.
So, it's anybody's guess, folks, but that is the nonsensical aspect of it. Of course, the helmet comes right off. As we can see, it is a pretty fair likeness to the fellow who plays Antonio. He's a little too white, actually, here, since he ought to be a little bit more Hispanic. As for the outfit itself, there's been some paint detail that's been lost. Of course, there's supposed to be some gold trim in here, and around the collar in particular. But what we get is actually pretty nice. Suffers the most on the back, of course. At least they painted the black stripe here in the 2 details. And the boots and the gloves are painted. Now, one area of major concern is right here at the lantern. This is supposed to be blue and red and white, but boy, oh boy, they really dropped the ball on this one. It's strange because now it just looks like a container of like sake that he keeps with him.
Or a pot of rice.
Yeah, or something like rice or something. So I really have no idea what the intention was. I appreciate them doing it though. The hand could have been empty. So that was the minifigure you get.
One of the better minifigures that has been included. This one actually is in pretty good scale with the basic 3 3/4 figures. Actually, the larger one, and one of the best sculpted too.
Not bad.
Then on to the Light Zord. He comes packaged in robot mode. Now, in the original Japanese Shinkenger, he does not have any kind of alternate animal form. He transforms from a lantern into a robot that looks like a lantern. But for the American toy release, he's been given a weird beetle, spider, insect thing. Of course, all the Zords in Power Rangers Samurai, Super Samurai / Shinkenger do have animal forms, so it makes a certain type of sense. The paint on the Lantern / Light Zord is very clean, although there aren't really a lot of applications. There's some silver and gold trim at the belt buckle, on the hands, on the hips, And at the bottoms of the legs, there's a little crest on the forehead with the Power Ranger Samurai symbol, and there's a couple of applications on the face. Now the center of the torso is painted red, like a lantern, and then there's a big piece of kanji on the front, and it's painted in white and black.
There's some very noticeable absences in terms of paint applications. Here, these should have been painted silver, as well as these dividers of the arms should have also been painted silver. Another big disappointment is that the toes down here, I guess is what you'd call them, where the feet are not gold. There should have also been silver in this area. Because of this, he looks far more plain than he ought to, and it's definitely a detractor for this figure. Another problem that I have with the figure is how small it is. Unfortunately, the Lantern Zord is very, very diminutive. He's
about 5 inches tall.
Yeah, he's pretty much a 5-inch tall Zord, and if you compare it to your other deluxe Zords, that's just not very big at all. It looks like he's more like one of the Power Rangers standing beside the Zords than actually something that can be used with him. However, when he's in Lantern mode, you really can't notice much of a difference, as you can see here.
Transformation is fairly simple, but he breaks down into quite a few pieces. Take the arms off. Take off the legs. These snap off with relative ease, and I don't think they're going to be breaking anytime soon, so it's really pretty sturdy plastic. Now here, snap the legs on, like so, and flip the head around. And this is the Lantern. And the Megazord, or any combination of the Megazords, can actually hold this if you slide out a handle. You transform it into insect mode, like so. You take the arms and fold out these insect legs from the sides, and you snap them on like this. And then you take the blades from one of the arms and unfold it like so, and it creates pincers for the insect mode. And insect mode, the Gold Ranger Pack-In figure can actually ride on him. He has 2 foot pegs right here, and he sits pretty comfortably on him. And he's stuck on there real well. He's not coming off.
Here are some Megazord specific ideas for your Lantern Zord. All you have to do is take off the pinchers right there and the insect arms. So you take those off like so. Alright, you are left with the Lantern, and as we mentioned earlier, all you have to do is flip out the handle, and he's ready to be held. Now, this begs the question, what do you do with all of this, for lack of a better term, kibble? Because these aren't in the show, these big insect arms. So all you have to do is take them, line them back up, as if they were going back into arm mode. Do the same for this one, back up, arm mode. And there's these little connectors on these sides that you can join like this. This creates kind of a scimitar, sort of a long sword. And then the pinchers that we had earlier for the head, we just flip those back together like so. And then we find the peg that those connected onto, which is right here. And we just put it back on. And now we have a handle for any of the Megazords to hold. It's worth noting that since this handle is a little bit smaller, it's actually more intended for the new Ultimate Megazord that they have coming out, which is the miniaturization of the Ultra Zord, or the Gigazord, should I say. And this should hold really well in his hand. Of course, we only have the actual Gigazord. Poor us, you know. So, not bad. It's a really interesting little piece. It looks pretty good. Alright guys, here's my completed Gigazord. I'm always looking for some cool new accessories, and the Lantern Zord really fits the bill, and it's the reason I bought the Lantern Zord. So as we can see, we have the Lantern mode that we discussed earlier with the handle extended, and the handle goes right into the hand, and it takes a little bit of working to get it in there, but it clicks in really nice. As you can see, it looks great with the rest of the Zord. So even though it is quite underscaled when it's in robot mode, it looks awesome here, and that's what counts to me. Now there's also the sword mode that we talked about earlier. Let's just go ahead and get the Lantern out. Next, let's take this. And as I said, this handle is more meant for the smaller scale Gigazord that they're coming out, the kind of brick that just has a few, pieces that come off. However, I'll still get one. It looks pretty neat.
Yeah.
So you can put it right there, And it's not bad, you know. Like I said, it kind of leans forward because it's not in there really good. But he can hold it. There it is. And so, not really that bad. But, of course, the lantern is infinitely preferable.
Yeah. And that was the Power Rangers Super Samurai Light Zord with Super Mega Gold Ranger. That is a mouthful. For not very much of a toy, you know. I really like it. You know, it's like I was saying at the beginning of the video, it's got a very quirky quality, and it's just not something you're going to see in Power Rangers a lot of times, let alone any other toy line. So it's you know, it's a quality item, and it's enjoyable. You don't get quite as much as I think you should for $15, but I would still give him a 3.5 out of 5.
You know, this is where I disagree. I think that the Lantern Zord, although a lot of fun, and it certainly gets the job done for all of us who needed the Lantern Zord and all of that, or the Light Zord, as we're now calling him apparently. I think that the massive underscale, the lack of paint applications, being overpriced, no articulation on the pack-in figure, I just think that it's not as impressive as a lot of the Zord vehicles that we've gotten in Power Rangers Samurai so far. So I'll have to say 3 stars, and I think that's pretty fair.
I think so too. Well, thank you for watching. We've got some more Power Rangers Super Samurai reviews coming down the pipeline, as well as tons of other things. We've got The Dark Knight Rises, The Amazing Spider-Man, we've got Movie Masters and Mini-Mates, and everything in between. So please subscribe. If you keep watching them, we'll keep making them. Until next time.
This has been Jared.
And this is Brandon.
Fanboys out.